All right then. Hello, everyone. Welcome once again to Editing Academy. I'm Darryl.
I'm Laura.
This is part 2 of our 2009 release, 2010 nominee year. We went through all of them before, but would you like to go through all of them again?
I would. The ones that we have gone through are Avatar, The Blind Side, District 9, and Education, The Hurt Locker. And today we will be going through Inglorious Basterds, Prescious, A Serious Man, Up, and Up in the Air.
Excellent.
And should we say that of the first 5, we kind of carried a few over,
Sure.
which were...
We agreed.
Yep, and we agreed that of those 5, the 2 best picture nominees were An Education and The Hurt Locker.
Correct. So we're carrying those over for the end of this conversation. We'll pick 2 from this one, and then we'll kind of guess after that. All right, we did the last time the other notables in the top 5, so we're not going to do that again. I'm just going to dive right in. One of the things I would like to do at the end before we guess is, because now that we've expanded to 10, I would like to have us pretend there are still just 5 and say which 5 basically didn't belong this year. Because the expansion, I think, like we talked about last time, is a good thing. A lot of smaller films get nominated, recognized, and make a little bit more money. But in doing so, I think some of the films, the quality may not be necessarily where we want it to be.
I think that's right. And expanding to 10, they really expanded.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so going in alphabetical order, we'll start off with Inglorious Basterds. Written and directed by Quentin Tarantino. Stars an ensemble cast, Brad Pitt, Christoph Waltz, Michael Fassbender, Eli Roth, Diane Kruger, Daniel Bruhl, Till Schweiger, I apologize, Melanie Lawrence, and Mike Myers. Nominated for Picture, Director, Supporting Actor, Screenplay, Cinematography, Film Editing, Sound Mixing, and it did win Christoph Waltz for his first Oscar, which I really think was deserved in this case.
I agree completely.
He is the absolute star of this movie.
All right, so the summary is, in Nazi-occupied France during World War II, a plan to assassinate Nazi leaders by a group of Jewish and U.S. soldiers coincides with a theater owner's vengeful plans for the same. I think that's actually pretty good.
Yeah, that works.
One of my fun facts, which I didn't know this but you might have, is the character Shoshana, who was the theater owner, was originally conceived as a Jewish assassin who had a list of people that she wanted to kill, and she crossed them off as she did it. Tarantino had trouble writing the ending to Inglorious Basterds, so kind of put it on a shelf, and he put a lot of the characteristics of Shoshana into the bride in Kill Bill.
That makes a lot of sense.
And so, therefore, the Shoshana we see in the movie is very different than the one he originally conceived, because he gave a lot of that away to the bride. And the only other thing is, and I think this is pretty well known, Tarantino said that the opening scene of this movie is the favorite thing he's ever written.
Yeah.
And I don't blame him. It's spectacular.
I did see an interview with him talking about this movie and how he was ready to scrap it and not move forward and make this movie because he could not find the character to play Christoph Waltz.
Yep.
He had tons of people that came in and he was ready to go, and finally someone said, hey, there's this German actor I want you to take a look at. And he said from the moment he came in and sat down, he was everything I had imagined, everything I had written, and the film essentially does rest in a lot of ways on his performance and his actions.
Yep.
So without that, he's like, I just never would have made the film. Christoph saved the film.
I can understand that. I can agree that if it wasn't for his performance, it would have been a good movie, but it would have been much more flat.
Correct.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because admittedly, as you mentioned it, I think a lot of the performances in this are fine. They're up to the task.
Yep.
But they are not that step up that you need for a good ensemble cast like this. There's Christoph is the standout. I think everybody else is fine.
I think everybody else does great. He is memorable.
Yes.
I don't think anybody else is particularly memorable in their roles.
Yeah, and I agree. And for a picture of this quality, and if you're going to have such an ensemble cast, everybody needs to be a step above just okay or fine or even great. They need to be above. They all needed to be at Christoph's level for this to succeed as the brilliant film that I think a lot of people really think that it is.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
my interpretation.
Can we talk a little bit about the construction? Because I
Sure.
just found it very interesting that of these 5 movies, 3 out of the 5 started with a little mini movie.
Yeah.
Like this, which absolutely, like those first 15 minutes in, just you're in. You're on a train, you are buying this movie, you've just met these people, you know what's happening. And the whole time that he's interviewing the French farmer, you have no idea, and then suddenly it goes below the floor and you know that the family is hiding there. You think that he knows where the family is, but I did not know the first time I saw this that the family is under the floorboards.
Yeah.
Until in the moment that it goes under there, it's just horrifying, and it adds that added level of tension because it was already tense and you know the farmer's hiding them, but you don't think they're there, or at least I didn't. And I just thought that was spectacular. And this, you know, kind of mini movie is the most tied to the plot, is, you know, probably certainly more than another one is, but it just you know, catapults you into the rest of the movie that starts at an entirely different place. And I just thought that was really interesting.
One of the things, a lot of people have issues with Quentin's directing and some of his writing, and definitely his acting, but one of the things you can't take away from him is he is a master at creating very tense scenes and building that tension and giving release, but also not giving release. Yeah. And that opening scene is one where it just keeps building and building and building. You know something's off, you don't know exactly what it was. In your head, you're suspecting that, yes, he's hiding them, or at least he's hiding something.
Yes.
And then you slowly get the pieces of the puzzle. And even the release, like, of everybody dying and Shoshana running off, even that is not a full release for you.
Yep.
It still heightens the overall tension of the moment, which then, of course, sets up for the rest of the movie. But
right.
Quentin does that in all of his movies, that build of tension, releasing in some areas, not releasing in other areas.
Yeah.
He's very, very good at that, and you can't take that away from him.
Well, and just even the cleverness of, he changes the language so that the French will not understand what's being said above, you know, kind of above the floor. And you don't realize until the end why he has done that. It seems odd, but you go along with it and you're like, okay, whatever. But then it just like, oh, of course, that's why he's changed the language.
And speaking of language, this is one of the movies that does not happen often, where language itself becomes a character, because there are so many languages that are spoken.
Yes.
And language itself becomes a character because the ability to either speak or not speak a language well becomes important.
Oh, it could be your lifeline. I mean, the Italian, their inability to speak even passable Italian is how they're easily found out.
And it's something that's also addressed, like you mentioned in the first scene, and it's not the only time it happens, but Christoph's character, whose name I just can't remember off the top of my head, he says, I've reached my ability to speak any further in this language. Can we switch to this? You realize later that was a ploy.
Of course, yeah.
But that happens quite often where other people are like, I can't speak in this language anymore. The English pretending to be German, they reach a particular area where they can't progress it anymore in the bar scene down below. Language itself becomes a character in this movie, and it's handled incredibly well with all of the different languages and how they get portrayed and the deception. It just becomes another character.
Because everybody's pretending to be somebody that they're not.
Correct.
Yeah. I have a question for you, because there's one part of this movie I don't like, and I think it's a me problem, not a movie problem. Because he does it again in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I don't love the changing history in the movie. I feel like there's real life stories, there's fictional stories, pick a lane. I understand with the real life stories, and we've seen it in some of these other movies that we've talked about, they change the story a bit, they add poetic license, and they do things, but just entirely changing, and then we killed Adolf Hitler. That bugs me a little bit. I would love them to have created a story that is actually truly fiction. He does it again in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and I don't love it there either.
So I've thought about this a lot, because that is something that people get criticized for. This movie in particular gets criticized a lot for, like, basically a good person's Nazi porn. Like, we get to watch Nazis die. Fantastic. Yeah. We get the ending we wanted. Fantastic.
Exactly.
However, one of the things that I do tend to gravitate towards is, because he is a master storyteller, we can't take that away from him.
Absolutely is, yeah.
Going into a movie like this, and it only works the first time you ever see it, but going into the movie, if you know nothing about it, you know historically how Hitler died. He died in a bunker with Eva Braun or whatever.
So you're expecting this to fail.
Correct. So the entire time he's playing with that as an expectation. So when it actually does come to fruition, and he is consciously playing with the audience with their understanding of how history works.
Absolutely.
And he does the same thing in Once Upon a Time. I think he's kind of doing it a little bit more tongue-in-cheek than people give him credit for. But doing that does take you on a particular ride that you were not expecting. And I think that's more of the intent than like, hey, I'm going to give everybody the ending where Hitler gets killed in a movie theater.
I agree with that, and I think that makes a lot of sense. I think also that there was a plot to kill Hitler. There was a plot to assassinate him. So, all right, I'm going to give you that. You've turned my head a little bit.
Because I had the same thing for a long time until I did a deep dive in one of the Reddit ones, and someone pointed that out. Yeah. And then when I went back and watched it, I was like, oh, if this is true, and I'm not saying it was, but if this is true,
that's very smart.
It's incredibly smart. It elevates the movie to a different degree. The only problem with that is it only works once.
Yes.
So,
upon the first showing.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then you kind of step back.
Yeah.
And also with Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like that was part of the PR. I don't remember the PR for Inglorious Basterds, but Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, like people were talking openly about the fact that, you know, that what's his name, Charlie Manson doesn't go on his spree. And so that you're spoiled even before you see the movie.
Yeah, and so that does take a little bit of credence away from that as an argument.
But it definitely might be true for this.
He would have had to have signed off on that for part of the marketing as well. So who knows? But I like looking at it in that fashion versus something else.
And that makes much more sense. So I do like that.
One thing I did want to talk about with Tarantino's writing is sometimes we've seen this in other films, and sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But the omniscient writer who knows everything and is giving all the information to the viewer, you can fall into a very easy trap that character X knows something they never should know.
Yeah.
Because of the information that you're being given, and because it's being written by a singular person, and the audience is watching with their own understanding of information being given. Quentin does a very good job of not really putting that out there. Characters in this movie in particular have no idea what other characters are doing and what they're up to. Think about Shoshana's plots to kill.
Good point.
And
she doesn't know about the other plot that's coming in at the same time.
Correct. Yep. And those two things, if either one of them had just been on its own, totally would have worked.
Yeah. Yep.
But they interfere with each other.
That's a good point.
The basement scene where people know only a certain amount of information, it gets played with there as well.
I don't. Hi. Sorry. Okay. All right. He broke out.
That's fine.
We have a visitor.
So, this is Wally, everybody.
Hi. He was sad he was alone.
So that's something that I think he does very well, is he doesn't, each of the characters only know what they actually know and have experienced.
Yep.
I think there's a couple times in some of the earlier ones where that actually fails. Pulp Fiction is a very classic example because of the time play. The audience knows far more than the characters do, and I think that's also true for this movie. Again, another thing that he does very, very well is the characters only know what they know, or what they've experienced, or what they've been told. So I give him props there.
Yep, I agree with that. What do you think about the last scene, kind of like the bloodbath? It's very Tarantino-esque.
Sure.
It's a little more than I needed. That said, I loved her face and it like morphing and twisting and in the flames, and it had a almost Wizard of Oz quality to it. So I thought that was really technically well done. I didn't need the bloodbath, but I also know that's very Tarantino quality.
Yes.
So I think that's not for me, but
You have
for
seen
others.
Django Unchained?
No, I have not.
Oh, like,
Because I knew how brutal it was.
it is way over the top.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I give props. Overall, this is a kind of one and done movie for me.
Mm-hmm.
Once you know the movie, going back and like looking for additional things, there's not really so much depth. So back to it. The only thing that I was kind of just wrapping up my thoughts is this is a one and done movie for me. I'm fine if I never see this again. It is not quite as tight as some of his other movies as far as the pacing and the writing.
Well, see, this is one of my favorites, actually.
Really? Okay.
It's one of my favorites. I would say Pulp Fiction and then this.
Because I think Pulp Fiction, even Hateful Eight, I think those are tighter movies. but
I do like Hateful Eight, yeah.
Uh,
I enjoyed revisiting this, but I haven't revisited it in a really long time.
we've kind of hinted around it, but we probably should spend at least a couple seconds on the Christopher Waltz of it all.
Oh, absolutely. You go.
I mean, I know he was an actor in Europe for a very long period of time, but this is how basically the world kind of discovered him. Not just America, but the world, because this was an international hit. And he proved himself beyond a shadow of a doubt to be one of the top tier actors. People were like, where's this guy been? Well, he's been in Germany.
He is cocky and slimy and charming, and he's a clear sociopath, but he embodies all of the good and bad qualities of that, and you can just see it. And especially when he's there, it's Diane Kruger, I think, at the end, the one who's playing the actress. When he's with her, it's just horrifying, because when he goes and actually chokes her, I didn't know at that point that her character was going to die. And so I remember that being a total surprise first time around.
One of the things he does incredibly well, which is very hard for a lot of actors to do, I've heard them talk about it, is to have the comfortability of knowing entirely how something is going to play out and being in complete command, but not dictatorial of a situation. Like, I know how this is all, and we're just going to have a conversation, and I'm going to get the information that I need, and once I get it, then I'm going to do my thing. But this is all just fun and lighthearted with very sinister undertones.
Sinister is a great word for him. Yeah, so there is that sinister, and you're waiting for it to play out.
And it all works out perfectly for him, right up till the end.
But it still even works perfectly for him if he wears bangs. So he is gonna live his life. It's probably not gonna be a great one.
No.
Yes, which is not a bad thing. It's a very good thing, actually.
All right. I have nothing else for this.
I have nothing else.
All right, let's move on to Prescious. Prescious, directed and co-produced by Lee Daniels. Script was written by Jeffrey S. Fletcher, adapted from the 1996 novel Push by Sapphire. Film stars Gabri Sidibe.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yep.
And Monique, who is a stand-up comedian. I didn't know if you knew
Oh,
that.
yeah, yep.
Alongside Paula Patton, Mariah Carey, Sherry Shepard, and Lenny Kravitz. Nominated for Best Picture, Director, Actor, Supporting Actress, Adapted Screenplay, Film Editing. It did win for Screenplay and Supporting for Monique.
She either had her own sitcom at that time or was a recurring character on a sitcom at that time. I forget how I knew who Monique was, but it was from TV, not just her stand-up.
Yeah, she got her start in stand-up and did a lot of television, had her own series for a while. I'm not going to swear to it, but this was like kind of her first serious role.
It was, yeah, and she really lobbied hard to get it.
And
Killed it.
Absolutely nailed it.
All right, so summary. In New York City's Harlem circa 1987, an overweight, abused, illiterate teen who's pregnant with her second child is invited to enroll in an alternate school in hopes that she can reroute her life in a better direction.
I think that's fair.
I think that's good. So fun facts is Jeffrey Fletcher, who wrote it, won Best Adapted Screenplay, and he is the first African American to win a Screenplay Academy Award.
Really?
Which is amazing. Yep.
Wow, 2010, Jesus.
Yep. And then also, and this is not surprising, this movie actually got a big promotional push from Oprah Winfrey's Harpo Productions, and this was the first movie that was affiliated with Tyler Perry's 34th Street Film Production Company.
Oh, okay.
So because he was just coming up on the scene at that point.
Yep.
So yeah. So what did you think?
For Prescious?
Yeah.
This is one of those movies that I think gets dismissed and kind of picked apart a lot because of its uncomfortability.
Yes.
And I think that is an unfair thing to do to a film like this. Is it uncomfortable? Fuck yes. It is not an easy movie to sit through and watch. Even the respite scenes where she kind of goes into her own fantasy world, even those are difficult because of what happened right before and where she goes. Mm-hmm. Having said all of that, I think this movie accomplished absolutely what it attempted to do. It was not pushing things in your face. It wasn't saying, hey, everybody, pay attention. This 15-year-old's been raped by her dad twice. Like, it never hammered anything over the head. Things just were until things broke. And that's what happens a lot in this film, is things break.
I put down as just bleak. It is a very bleak movie, but it is a very real movie.
Yeah.
And I think it is a real movie about things that happen about real people. And this, is a woman somewhere in the world right now. This is a girl.
Yeah.
In the way she's living her life, which is pretty terrible. I loved the performances, and I think that's something to talk about too. Have you ever seen Gabby Sidibe in anything else or in a talk show? She's hilarious. She is bright and funny and charming, and she is just. I actually saw a few clips of her on the Sherry Shepherd show because they were talking about Sherry Shepherd being in this movie, and they were talking about how much fun it was to film and how they would go out do things, and it was just the two chums coming together, and for her to be such a lovely light person, and then to be this just and heavy in all terms, just heavy weight upon her, and the way she portrayed this, I think she was amazing.
Well, you look at the three principals in this. There's her mom, and then there's Mariah Carey. Those are the three big.
Oh, I would say the teacher is more important than Mariah Carey. I think Mariah Carey is important because it's Mariah Carey.
I would agree. Well, her character. Okay, so I put her number 4. You're right. The teacher would be the top, and I don't know the actress's background as for the teacher. Yeah. But look at those 3. Yep. They are in general brighter, happier people.
Yes. Yep.
And I think there's something, it's been debated for a very long period of time, but people that externally have that kind of more bright, happy thing can go to the darker places easier than just some sort of random dramatic actor or actress.
Point. Yeah.
So I think having those 3 be the people they were are what were able to carry the film and give it its darkness because of who they were as people. Because let's be honest, her Precious's performance is outstanding beyond all.
Yep.
And it could have been played so differently in so many different ways, but she never plays hurt.
No.
She never plays the world
Anger.
is out to get me. She does break at one point, and basically it's a horrible scene, but she confesses, this is what people who love me do. They hurt me, they abuse me, they do these things.
Tell me I'm stupid, and
that's what love is to me, and that's just heartbreaking. Then you have the scene when they're in talking with Mariah's character, the social worker lady or the welfare lady who's handing out the checks, and she basically goes through, why did I do all of this? Well, if I didn't, who was going to love me? Who was going to take care of me? Who was going to touch me? Again, a heartbreaking moment where she breaks, but also a very real moment. This is how mom thinks.
Oh, absolutely, yeah. She's as big a monster as any of them, but she's not that stereotypical black hat monster. No. You see what her motivation is. It's terrible and it's horrible, but you at least see where her brokenness is coming from.
Because the entire time, up until that point, she is a very stereotypical mom in that aspect, where she's just constantly berating her child, hitting her child, making her child, telling her child that she's stupid, very stereotypical, until you get to the end and she has that speech and you realize, oh, and this is why. Because we know as the audience member, she knew what was going on, but she was placing the blame on her child.
Well, we also knew that she also was sexually abusing her. Yeah. We saw that little scene where she called for her daughter, and then for her to say it out loud at the end was obviously impacted Mariah Carey's character.
Yep. I'd heard or read an interview where the director was saying, essentially, because this was so dark, we were not trying to make a movie that was real. We were trying to make a movie that was more of a melodrama.
Okay. And
in that light, I think this movie works even better. You don't take each beat and each moment as this is real, this is what happens, this is some sort of representation of something. But as a melodrama, I think it even gets deeper to the point that they were trying to kind of illustrate.
Okay, I like that better, because the only criticism I have about this is it seems so upbeat at the end, and it's not. It is still, she is a HIV positive mother with 8th grade reading capabilities, 2 children, one of whom has special needs, and she is homeless.
Yes.
This is not going to end well. It's just not.
Yep.
And so the fact that the audience is kind of led to believe, look, I've left my mother and that stuff behind and I'm going into my happy new life, that kind of annoyed me a little bit. And I like the reading of it that you're saying, which is it's not entirely real. It's not beat for beat real.
Yeah.
Because that's the only thing that they tried to seem so real throughout the movie, and then it's a falsely uplifting ending.
I can see that, and I think I in the quote or interview that I saw, whichever one it was, he didn't say that they succeeded. He was like, this was the attempt.
Yeah, no, and I can see that.
The only other thing I want to talk about it is I've never been a big Mariah Carey fan, like music-wise. See her in interviews, she just annoys me. Like, I've never been a fan. I will say, and I keep thinking about it because I don't know. I don't know if it was her performance, like if she gave a really top-notch performance, or if because of the way they made her up.
Yeah, she's very unglam.
Right, you forget that it's her, and you then just go into the character. Now, I know that part isn't 100% intentional, of course. They're not going to put her glitter in this situation.
Yeah.
But I don't know which way it was, just because she was deglammed for her performance, or did she really give a really solid quality performance? I lean towards the latter, but I'm looking for you to help me here.
I lean towards the latter as well, and this is why. It's because I never forgot that was Lenny Kravitz.
Oh, yes. No, that's a good point.
You know, I never forgot that was Lenny Kravitz, and I adore Lenny Kravitz. But, like, when he's in Hunger Games, you do forget a little bit of who he is. In this one, I don't think, maybe he just didn't have as much to work with, but I agree with you. I forgot Mariah Carey, and I didn't forget Lenny Kravitz, so
That's
I
a good
think
point.
I give her the win on the performance.
No, that's a very, very good point, because I knew it going in, and then I forgot about it, and then when I was doing the cast, I was like, oh, that's right, that was Mariah, because at no point did she seem like Mariah.
No, not at all. Have you seen this movie before?
Yes.
Okay, I have not. This is one that I've actually been avoiding because of, we're coming to the time of movies I've either seen or movies I have tried to not see that I'm watching for the first time because of the bleakness of it, and it is incredibly well done. And I think the way you introduced it is it does get a little bit of shortchanged because people know it's a dark, sad movie.
And that's one of the things.
But it's well done.
Yes, and that's what we consistently have to remind ourselves, and we talk about a lot on this podcast, is it's not about the subject matter of the movie. It's about the quality of the movie that you're actually watching. And sometimes, yes, it's hard to go back or to watch a movie that you know is just going to be a depressing ride from start to finish. But the quality of that film is very, very, very good. Yeah. Recently, there's been a resurgence in Nazi movies. Like last year, I think one of them got nominated for Best Picture. Didn't watch it because I'm just tired.
Yep.
And I'm sure once we get to that in this podcast, I will appreciate the craft of the movie.
Yeah, fair.
But it's just a subject matter I'm done with.
You're not interested in it
I don't
right
want
now.
to see the Nazi perspective on World War II anymore. I just don't.
Great.
So I understand that as a feeling like, God, do I really want to take this voyage? But once you do, and then you can talk about the actual creation and the structure and everything that went into crafting the movie itself. Which this is a well-crafted movie.
Yeah, I totally agree. I would say that if incredibly well executed, and for me it hinged on Monique's performance at the end with Mariah Carey that you spoke to already.
Yep.
Because without her breaking like that, she would have been a cartoon character villain.
Yep.
And they had to give her the little bit of heart that they could.
Yep. It's all horrible and wrong, but still.
Yes, exactly. All right,
let's move on to A Serious Man.
Alrighty.
Serious Man, written, produced, and edited and directed by Joel and Ethan Coen. You probably saw the titles. It had both written and directed by.
Yep.
Nominated for Best Picture and Best Screenplay. That, surprisingly, was it. This is also a smaller Coen Brothers movie. Did not win anything. Go with some facts.
All right, so summary. Larry Gopnik, a Midwestern physics teacher, watches his life unravel over multiple sudden incidents. Despite seeking meaning and answers amidst his turmoils, he seems to keep sinking.
That's accurate.
It is, but it misses like the whole plot points.
Yeah.
But it's a good theme of what it's about.
Yeah, but I think if you dive too much more into it, you're going to get into the nuance of the film. So yeah, I'm fine with it.
All right. The only fact I could really find, because I mean, there's a ton of facts out there about the Coen brothers in general, but this one I thought was interesting was Patton Oswalt auditioned for both the lead and the Richard Kind brother role. I could see him as the brother. I could not see him as the lead.
Yeah, Patton he's an interesting. I like him as a person.
I do, and I like his performances somewhat, but he is a character actor. I don't know that he could carry the film.
There's not a heck of a lot of depth, and I mean no disrespect when I say that. It's just he's not an actor who carries a lot of depth with him.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, this one I had honestly forgotten when it came around that this was a Coen Brothers movie.
Oh, okay, interesting.
And I had only seen it when it came out, and then I remembered watching it again. Why? It's very well crafted. It's very specific in its messaging and its audience and the story that it's trying to tell.
And its geography, I would say, as well.
Yep. And in typical Coen fashion, it is heartbreaking, hysterically funny, poignant. Like it touches all of the beats, but it goes to, I think at the end of the day, whether or not you actually can latch onto the story itself. And if you can't, you're going to have problems with this film. If you can, then you're going to at least enjoy the ride.
Again, kind of talking about construction, I would love your thoughts on that beginning mini movie of, 5 or 6 goes in when they, the old man comes to the old town and they think it's a dupka? Is that?
I don't know how to pronounce it, but yes.
All right. I apologize.
My take on that is it's basically a parable of what the film is then going to be. So it sets up some sort of mysticism, some sort of doubt. It sets up a lot of things in the Jewish faith that then play itself out through the central character for the remainder of the movie. It's just basically a setup of like, here's a quick thing. It's just a longer version of like the sentence in the beginning of the movie to give you the guidance. That's the way I look at it.
I was looking at it, and I may be entirely wrong, as more of a kind of, this is his ancestral family and they are cursed. And it doesn't matter kind of like what he does, someone back many, many years ago did something and now he is cursed to whatever happens in his life, whatever forward motion he tries to make, he's going to keep getting pulled back. Okay. So, and that's just the way I read it, but I'm sure that was not the way it was intended.
There's a couple things that are pretty obvious in this one. One, he is a mathematics teacher who teaches the uncertainty principle as one of his big things, which of course is a big theme throughout the entire movie itself. And it keeps coming back again. It is inherent and necessary for his character to not question a lot of things, to seek answers, but to not question the information and the things that are happening to him. Like his divorce, when his wife is like, by the way, we're now going to be divorced. I'm going to go with Cy. And then sitting down with Cy and the two of them telling him how it's going to go. Like his character he needs all of that, and he can't react and be strong about any of that.
He's so passive.
Correct.
He's so passive. You're going to go live with the Jolly Roger. Okay, I live with the Jolly Roger now. Yeah.
And part of it is obviously, like, I did have to look this up, but the concept of a serious man or a mensch in Hebrew or Jewish, I'm not sure the distinction, is someone who is of faith and honor and who others look to kind of guide and lead. The one character throughout this entire thing that is constantly referred to as a serious man is Cy. Who at the end of the day really isn't.
No, not at all.
And he tries to be. He's constantly looking for information. He goes through all of the rabbis to try to give some sort of answer. He follows the correct path and the things that he's supposed to do, and everything is still falling apart around him. He does take the bribe, which then things go horribly wrong right after he takes the bribe, even worse than they were before. So it's a constant test of what can someone essentially take when they're doing everything they're supposed to do and it's still not working. And in that sense, I think this film is brilliant.
I love the construct of the film. it didn't appeal to me emotionally, I will say. Like,
Sure. I don't think it's
I
necessarily
didn't love
supposed
it. Yeah, and it's not something that I'm going to revisit, but I really appreciated it and enjoyed it because it was, and again, you're thinking of like, you know, the physics or the math that he is teaching. There are all of these scattered things, and so how do we bring order into the chaos? Because you've got the homeless brother and the things that he is doing, and then he's being arrested, and you've got the, you know, the nude sunbathing neighbor, and like there are so many scattershot of ideas in this movie, and it does a nice job of trying to pull all of those together, but it also just shows there is just chaos in the world, and that's what life is about, is, you know, your family situations and it kind of everything that is going on in the world. How does he make sense of it? And he really doesn't. He asks people to make sense of it for him.
Correct.
He just sits back and lets it happen to him and wash over him.
As the audiences were watching all of this happen, we're waiting for just some small thing to go in his favor, so we as an audience
Yes.
can relax, because it's constant.
Oh yeah.
It's constant. And then when we get to the scene where he starts to interact with the neighbor, and then he's having sex with the neighbor, you're thinking, okay, that's horrible, but at least he's getting something.
Yeah.
Something. And then no, that was all fake. It was just in his head.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
It's true.
Like,
it's true.
there's not a moment where the audience can actually relax, because he can never relax.
No.
And in that sense, this movie does exactly what it needs to do as far as building that tension. Because I don't know about you, but the entire time I'm watching it, I'm like, God, I just need a break for a moment.
Yes.
This is too much.
Well, and they don't even give you a break at the end.
No.
Because, so I do not love a cliffhanger ending. And this had two cliffhangers. You've got the chest x-ray and the tornado. And the chest x-ray was okay, because to me that was not a cliffhanger. We know that's going badly.
Yep.
And the way the doctor spoke to him, you're like, okay, here's another challenge or thing that's going to happen to his life. And it's also like, you know, what is it, Chekhov's gun? It's, if there's a chest x-ray at the beginning of the movie, there's going to be a bad chest x-ray result by the end of the movie. And that all played out. The tornado, though, I just did not understand the need for that at all, where his kid is at the school looking at a tornado. Like, is it just that the next generation is screwed too? Or, like, what's the point of that?
Yeah, I didn't really understand that in and of itself either. The only thing, it's something that is outside of his control as a parent.
Mm-hmm.
Like, other people are in charge of this, and they are trying to get the kids to safety and failing, because it's right there. So I didn't really understand that aspect of it either. But, you know, it's the Coens. They like to leave things a little ambiguous.
I thought that was unnecessarily ambiguous, because there was no, I don't know, there was just no lead up to that whatsoever.
Sure. As I do, I go down Reddit rabbit holes to see what other people are thinking. And I should have known this, but I got the time period wrong. This movie is set in 1967.
Okay.
Do you remember the Columbia Records?
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember the two big ones that they kept referring to that he yelled for?
No.
Santana Abraxas
Okay.
and Cosmos Factory, which is Clearwater Revival album. Both came out in 1970.
Oh.
So a lot of people have made, kind of like you have, is that this is some sort of...
Mistake.
No, it's a future projection. The future is talking back to him.
Oh my God, I never even went there.
I didn't either. I just thought it was like a mistake, but I know the Coens well enough.
They don't make those kinds of mistakes.
Correct.
No, I agree with you. Yeah.
So then it made me question,
so what's the point?
Why would they have these two particular albums? Except for Abraxas.
Do we get a title card that it's 67? Like, how do we know it's 67?
I can't remember where in the film, but yes, there's an indication that it is 1967. But Abraxas is another word for God.
Mm-hmm.
Cosmos Factory is another word for like the manufacturing of the universe.
All right.
I don't know. I think that's kind of reaching, but again, it's the Coens, so you never know.
They wouldn't have made that mistake.
Right.
Yeah. That's very
Anyway, I wanted to point that out because I didn't know that, and I should have known the years of that, but I didn't.
One quick thing that we haven't talked about on this one, and we actually spent a lot of time on Prescious on, was the performances.
Yeah.
And Michael Stahlbarg, I guess is how you say. I don't remember having seen him in other things. I looked at his IMDb, and I've seen him in a bunch of things. And he was just such a standout. He was great. I loved his wife. I thought she was spectacular, and I loved her. Richard Kind was great doing his Richard Kind thing, but in this, I think he was a little bit too much playing himself, or not himself, but the character he has created as himself. But I thought those two were especially fantastic, and Cy was great too. Yeah.
I don't remember the actor's name who plays Cy, but he's been a character actor around for a long period of time, and he usually plays that kind of confident, you're going to do things my way kind of person.
Exactly.
But yes, the performances were phenomenal. I don't think if the lead actor had made different choices and had not played it quite as passive, this movie wouldn't have worked.
Well, it's
if
funny.
he had more agency in a way.
He had to have almost a lack of charisma,
Yeah.
which he had, but in having that lack of charisma, he was the standout.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, if he had Christoph Waltz, you could not have him in this role because he would just dance off the page.
Yeah, and unintentionally, like he
Yeah.
would.
It's just who he is. Yeah.
He'd try to do it subtle, and he just couldn't.
Yeah, exactly. So perfect casting, I think.
So I'd forgotten that this was a Coen Brothers movie, but then once you go back through, it's so apparent that it is. Like just the small little things, their humor when he's speaking to the first rabbi, and the rabbi is just being like, "Just look at the parking lot. Just look at that parking lot," like trying to make the parking lot this grand metaphor. Like that's just Coen humor all the way through.
The rabbis were very funny.
Yep.
I liked them.
Anyway, so I'm glad I got to see it again to remind me that it was a good Coen Brothers film.
Yep, I liked this very much.
All right, moving on. Up! Directed by Peter Docter, co-directed by Bob Peterson, and produced by Jonas Rivera, with a screenplay written by Peterson and Docter, and a story conceived by the duo and Tom McCarthy. This is a Pixar movie. At this point, they were owned by Disney. They were not. They were owned anymore. Stars Ed Asner, Christopher Plummer, Jörg Nygaard, and Bob Peterson. Was nominated for Best Picture, Original Screenplay, Animated Feature, Original Score, Sound Editing. It did win for Animated Feature and Original Score. This is only the third anime?
Second.
Beauty and the Beast.
This is the second. Toy Story 3 will be the third, and that's it.
Okay, I get that confused all the time. Anyway.
All right, so the summary is, so we have 78-year-old Carl Fredrickson who travels to South America in his house equipped with balloons, inadvertently taking a young stowaway.
Okay.
Sure. Fun facts was, this is the second of 3 movies that will be nominated, animated movies that will be nominated for Best Picture. So I did have that because we have talked about that a couple of times.
Yeah.
And then the director, Pete Docter's daughter, Ellie, voiced the young Ellie in this. And he voiced Kevin, uncredited. All of the Bird Brocks. Yes, exactly. Okay.
So you can't really talk about this movie without talking about the first 15 minutes of the movie.
Exactly.
The first 15 minutes of this movie are spot on perfect. They tell you a fantastic story of 2 people's lives from when they were children all the way up until one unfortunately passes. It does it quickly, it does it beautifully. It's heart-wrenching, and it's just handled expertly. And we can come back to that. After that, this movie becomes a very straightforward, stereotypical movie. And I think a lot of people love this movie because of that first 15 minutes, and they have the ride that they continue through and give a lot of passes to this movie based on that first 15 minutes.
I'm one of those people.
Okay.
Because I agree with you. I think the first 15 minutes of this movie is a perfect short film.
Yep.
If this had been nominated for an animated short, it should have won all of the awards. It would have been fantastic, because I think that's true. I do like the rest of the ride because I think there's a couple of places where it's just a little bit too long, but I love the arc that Carl goes on from the time where, so basically their story is Ellie drags him and Ellie pushes him and Ellie makes him do all of these things. And then Carl is just left by himself with no ability or knowledge of what to do with his life. And so this is Carl's story. And I really love the way that they take him from, being just a curmudgeon sitting there alone in his house to he goes on his own adventure and he finds a son and he, kind of lives the life that he was meant to live. And I just think it's very sweet.
I don't disagree with any of that. I think that the rest of the story is a quality story. I think it's one of the lesser Pixar quality stories, and Pixar has a ton of very well-crafted, amazing stories. I can't think of a Pixar movie that I don't like. Even Cars, like Cars and Cars 2, while not the best, I still enjoy. I love a Pixar story. I just think that the remainder of that does not live up to the first 15 minutes, and people ride a wave throughout the rest of it from that first 15 minutes of a high and just give a lot of passes to this. The villain being so stereotypically villainous.
That's the one con that I have, is he's such a villain, and he was their hero, and it comes out of nowhere. I totally agree with you that's just stupid. Yeah, I agree with you. But I think that it would have been one of the higher Pixar stories, except for the fact that the first of it was so great, nothing could live up to that.
Okay.
So I think we're kind of judging it on the wrong curve. This is so great, nothing will get up there. And so I think what would have been a great movie is seen as lesser than, because it cannot hit the apex of its first 15 minutes. It can't sustain that through the life of the movie.
No, and I think it's unrealistic to expect it to. I just think that based on such a strong opening, that I would hope that it would have been a little bit tighter, things would have been fleshed out a little bit better. The villain not so villainous.
Agreed.
I think all of the characters are very well defined. Even Doug as a character.
Oh, he's adorable.
All the dogs, Alpha, very well defined. I just think that I don't know exactly how to articulate. The story is straightforward. I'm going from this point to this point.
Yes.
This is what I'm trying to do. Here are the complications that
Yes.
arrive along the way, and look at all of the things. I think.
And my goal changes halfway through.
Correct.
I'm going to do this, and then I decide that I don't need to do that anymore. I need to do something else.
Well, he had technically landed the house there. He had accomplished his goal.
But he doesn't know, because he let the house go. He doesn't know that it landed there. Oh, you mean the first time it landed there?
Yeah,
yes, because it got there in the end too. Yeah.
So I think this is one of the better Pixar films. I'm not trying to take that away from it. I just have a hard time reconciling the two together. And I wonder if you didn't have that first 15 minutes, if it had just been like a one-off, here's a great short story, and then they had released the movie, would have been a shorter movie for sure, but then they just released Up without that first 15 minutes, if it would have gotten the acclaim and the adoration in the same way.
But think about that standalone movie. It's devastatingly sad.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, without the add-on of the rest of the movie, I don't think that's a Pixar movie. I don't think that's a Disney movie. It ends with his wife dies and he's all by himself, alone in his house.
Yeah.
So, like, that's not a Pixar movie.
That is true.
You can't end it there. You have to see him pick himself up and move on with his life.
And admittedly, in the first 15 minutes, you have all the plot points and all the things that are necessary for the remainder of the film to move on. Like, why is he doing this? Well, because it was Ellie's dream to be able to go here. He's fulfilling one last thing. Like, all of the different aspects along the way are set up in those first 15 minutes. And they are pulled out in the necessary places to keep the rest of the movie moving forward. So I give it all of that. I have a hard time reconciling the first 15 and the rest of the film. That's a me thing.
No, I don't think it's a you thing, because that is universally, you're right, that is the universal criticism of this movie, but I'm looking at it as in a different lens of, instead of saying it didn't keep the height of the apex of the beginning, it's like it was so high nothing could.
Yeah.
So I just think it's a little bit higher. But I'm going to switch tacks and just say, can we say how much that guy looked like Ed Asner?
Yeah.
Oh my God, how cute was he?
Yeah.
I thought the drawings were cute. I thought the, and again, also, you've got the little Russell, who, I'm sorry, but we just saw a serious man with a horrible Asian stereotype in it. Like, I was going to bring it up, but I'm like, I'm not going to go there. But I'm going to bring it up now, because now we've got this, like, a small Asian child who is not anything like the Asian stereotypes. He's just normal, like kid who wants to get his adventure badge. It's none of the Asian stereotypes that you would normally see, and I love that. I love that they kind of put that on its head a little bit. So it's different in places that you wouldn't expect it to be.
One of the things that I recognized watching it this time, probably the third or fourth time I've seen it, is that throughout the entire, even including the first 15 minutes, throughout the entire thing, Ed Asner's character always needs a purpose. He needs to have something to do. In the first 15 minutes, and for the majority of his life, it was pleasing his wife, doing what she wanted, making her happy. That was his goal, that was his function, that was his purpose. When she was gone, he lost that. Then he had it again when he was going back through the thing, with the external pressures of everything that was happening. He's like, oh, okay, I can do this one final thing. I have a purpose again. I'm going to go here. And along the way, that purpose kept getting interfered with.
Yep.
But he was able to become comfortable enough to shift his purpose to other things. Like, the bird's now important.
Yes.
The child is now important. Even the dog is now important.
Yeah.
Like, all of these things changed his initial purpose. He was still able to accomplish all of that, but his purpose does change. And it's embodied 100% by the ending when they're sitting there like, blue car, red car. Like, he was able to take on somebody else's imagination or dream of something and help them fulfill something for themselves. Like, he always needed a purpose, and it just kept slowly shifting throughout.
Exactly, and I think the two things that brought that home for him were Russell saying that the boring parts are the best parts.
Yes.
And that's, I think, true of all things in life. And Ellie, her scrapbook of adventure that he assumed would be empty, she made him realize that their life was an adventure. It didn't have to involve going to Peru.
Yep.
And so he realized that, you know, just the quiet, normal stuff is where the good stuff is. So I just think this is sweet. It makes, also, like, you're dead inside if you don't cry at this movie. So I cried like 17 times. I love this movie.
Sweet.
All right.
I made my major point that I wanted to make.
Alrighty.
And apparently I'm not in the my
No, actually I think that yours is the general consensus.
No, I would never go with the masses. All right, moving on to the
I don't think
final.
you're right, but you are in the general consensus. All right.
Up in the Air, directed by Jason Reitman, written by Reitman and Sheldon Turner from Walter Kier's 2001 novel. It stars George Clooney, Vera Farmiga, Anna Kendrick, and Jason Bateman. Nominated for Best Picture, Director, Actor, Supporting Actress, and Screenplay. Did not win anything, surprisingly.
All right, so the summary is, Ryan's job is to travel around the country firing people. When his boss hires Natalie, who proposes firing people via video conference, he tries to convince her that her method is a mistake. Yeah, sure. So the author of the book is actually one of the men in the office at their initial meeting in Omaha when they introduced Natalie and her new theme of what she wants to do. So I thought that was great. I like that. I like it when authors are in the movies, just saying. And then the other thing is all of the people that they fired or that were interviewed about being fired are people who had been fired.
I did know that.
They put an ad in the paper that they said they were doing a documentary because they didn't want actors to sign on. And so, yeah, all those people were real and were told either act the way you did when you were fired or act the way you wish you had acted, which I thought was really interesting.
Me too. Okay, so I'm going to start off. I do enjoy this movie. This is probably maybe the fourth time I've seen it. It's kind of one of those fun ones. You know the adventure you're going to go on. You know the performances are going to be strong. It's kind of easy to relax into. But one of the points I wanted to make out of the gate is this is one of those films that we talk about a lot where the subject matter doesn't matter.
Yeah.
As long as you can make anything an interesting, enjoyable, fun, not even fun, but you can make anything a story that you could latch onto and go on the ride of. Any subject matter, anything. And this is an example of that. Do we care about someone's life who all they do is fly around the country and fire people? In this movie, we do.
Well, and they said that that's one of the reasons they hired George Clooney, because you have to still like him and you don't like what he does for a living. So you have to have someone with so much charm that you don't care. And George Clooney is one of the most charming men.
Quick fact for you, do you know who, George Clooney was Reitman's first choice.
Yes.
And he said, do you know who he said was the second if he couldn't get Clooney?
Steve Martin.
Steve Martin.
Which I think he could have pulled this off.
I think he could have. I don't think it would have been a different movie with a different feel, just because of who Steve Martin is, particularly at that point in his career.
Yeah.
I don't know, we'll never know obviously, if it would have been a better or a lesser movie. It definitely just would have been different.
This is probably not that far apart from the movie Parenthood, and I could see him coming with that same kind of dad sensibility. So, but I really liked Clooney's performance in it. So,
I think all of the performances are top notch. You have your principal three, and then oh my God, the boss man.
Oh, Jason Bateman.
Jason Bateman, who essentially, and he always kind of does, except for Ozark, play a version of Jason Bateman.
Yeah.
But those three are at the top of their game.
Absolutely.
Anna plays the vulnerability, like she can play vulnerability incredibly well. She can also bounce back from that and become not domineering, but very self-aware.
She went from being very capable to being a mess, and then she went back again. Like she is able to give that whole spectrum. Excuse me.
The movie also does a really good job of, you okay?
Good.
Of giving you the information for the world building when necessary, and not over explaining things. Like, part of this story obviously is this man who lives in this world of travel all the way through, and why something is important to him, why his miles are important to him, why he has traveled down to such a thing. He's like, I stereotype, it's faster. Things like that. They give you the right information at the moments that you need it to help expand and understand the world that you're inhabiting.
I think the best example of that is his family. He's going back for his family wedding, and just by the town that he lived in and his interactions with his sisters and the fact that he's not walking his sister down the aisle, the way, like, everybody has been to one of those hotels out of town for a family wedding. Everybody has been at the VFW hall or wherever it is that they are, and it shows so much about who he was and what he came from and what he has left behind, like purposely set behind in his life, and it didn't go into a ton of detail, just like You're My Sisters.
And one of the things that I think the film does a good job of balancing, it doesn't really give you, I don't think, it doesn't try to pass judgment in one way or another. He has made a very specific choice of how to live his life. This is very specific. He prefers to be on the road traveling. He prefers not to have deep connections with people. He prefers to live a life of more solitude than being a more people-y kind of person. This is a choice, he's embraced it, and he's very happy and comfortable in that as a lifestyle.
Until.
And then obviously we have conflict with that, and then something happens which we can dive into, and I do, because I have questions about that.
I love the interactions with him and Vera Farmiga, because they do have this fantastic relationship, and they both think that they understand what the other one wants from it. And then he changes. He changes his mind. He decides he wants more. He wants, if not more, then at least more time with her. And so I love that he has gone off on this tangent. She's like, no, I'm still here, buddy. This is what we agreed to, and if you want that still, we're good. But you're not in my real life.
Here's my problem
Okay.
with that relationship. I would be fine with all of that if she hadn't gone to the wedding.
Okay.
By going to the wedding, she is at least subconsciously, without actually coming out and saying it, I'm willing to have more than just this, we're going to meet up every couple days or once a week or every couple weeks on the road when we're both in the same city and have a great night together. He invites, she accepts, which is a clear indication like, oh, I'm open to more. If she had her family, why did she do that? Because
I disagree. I don't think she took that invitation as to more, because he has no relationship with his family. He wanted a +1 to a wedding. And so I think she's like, yeah, I'll go, I'll be your +1 to the wedding, because like that, again, to her, it's part of his lifestyle of leaving things behind. I want somebody to drop in to this wedding, and then she can easily drop out. So I think that she read his invitation as, I gotta bring somebody to this family wedding, and I don't want to have to explain the baggage or have somebody there that's going to have expectations of me.
I don't disagree with you, but as an audience member, we have seen his life be built and very structured to be this particular thing.
Right.
She cracks that, and they start to have a very specific relationship.
Right, but she cracks that, meaning like this is her intro. So she doesn't see what we have seen.
Right.
She only sees what she sees of him.
Absolutely, 100%. So we as the audience see her crack his very specific lifestyle, and they're starting to have this relationship. It's their relationship, it is a very specific relationship, it's a very established, and there apparently seem to be rules about it. We as the audience understand that this is kind of a big thing for him.
Right.
She does not, 100%.
Yep.
So as an audience member, and again, you have to think that this is a movie being shown to an audience for a purpose. So as an audience member, knowing this, when she then accepts that, we as the audience understand for him, I believe, that this is a bigger step for him. He is...
Oh, 100%. Yes, we are meant to believe that this is a big step.
Right. So then when she does, and we find out about the family, I think it's far more heartbreaking.
Mm-hmm.
But I do question, and maybe that was the entire point, is it is more heartbreaking because she didn't understand the rules as we've seen them from his side. So it's far more heartbreaking because we're on his side. This is his story we're following.
I agree with you, but I think that's the way we were meant to feel.
Okay, and that's what I'm questioning.
Yeah,
is that the way we were meant to feel?
I think that is absolutely the way we were meant to feel,
Okay.
is that he is opening up to this woman and she is along for the ride. And then when she's talking to him from the car, she's right. She's like, no, this is not what we agreed to. You're doing this and I'm doing this and I love it when we can be together. The audience was cold clocked as much as he was by that information. But given what she knows of him, he's introduced her to his coworker and they went out drinking and partying with his coworker. And so like, how is that different than I need a +1 to a wedding?
Okay, I can see both sides. But every time that I have watched this, knowing all of the information, and again, I fully admit that she does not know everything that the audience member knows.
Exactly.
When she has that whole "you're just a parenthesis" speech to him, there's something about that just, even knowing all of that, still feels cold and off.
I think it's supposed to because you're feeling for him. But I think her character is very consistent.
Okay.
And I think she plays it as... knowing who she is, knowing what she's agreed to, where are you coming from? How dare you show up at my home?
No, and 100%, he crossed a boundary. He didn't know he was doing it, but he did cross a boundary. And I do like the fact that in this, it is a bit of a gender swap.
Yes, you would expect that male behavior.
Correct. And I like that, and I think sometimes, unfortunately, that's why her character gets overly criticized sometimes. It's like, how dare she? She knew the rules. She was breaking the rules. I'm like, well, you probably wouldn't be saying that if it was the guy doing this as much. You could still have the same argument.
Yes.
But, so, anyway.
I agree.
I just have a slight issue with it only because of that speech where she's like, you're a parenthesis. And I do agree that I think we are supposed to be as heartbroken as he is. And in that case, the film 100% succeeds.
Yeah, we're supposed to expect that we're going down this road together.
Right.
And we, along with him, has forgotten that's not the agreement that they had. I like see, this is an ambiguous ending that I liked, where he lets go of the handle of the suitcase, and the suitcase being the briefcase, and all of the things that he has talked about of, kind of like you just leave everything behind, but is he leaving behind his very well-ordered, very well-packed suitcase, or is he just leaving things behind again? I like that you can see him questioning what's a fake interaction, what's a real interaction, what's something I maybe want to hang on to, and there's no answers.
Right.
Like, am I gonna get on a plane and go somewhere? Am I going to continue to do this? And what am I gonna do? I have given up a pile of my miles for my sister. I made this. I made this goal
but only after
in my mind.
achieving his goal.
I was going to say, I made this goal, but it didn't make me feel good. As a matter of fact, it was the worst possible time, and I felt the crappiest about myself when I got this goal, which I was all excited for. So I like that we don't know what he's going to do next.
Yep, I would agree with that.
How about you?
No, I 100% agree.
The only thing that bugged me was Anna Kendrick's hairstyle. Because she was perfect. I think she was fantastic in this movie altogether, and I think that this is also what opened the door for her, for more people to know who she is, which is wonderful. Good Portland girl, by the way. Scarborough? Okay. Good Greater Portland girl, by the way. But anyway, she, at the beginning, is, again, when she's very capable, very, power woman, she has her hair just perfectly slicked back. And then later she's all, loose waves out on the beach. And then when she applies for the job in San Francisco that she should have, not gone after Ashton Kutcher, was she has her hair back in a ponytail, but she's got a couple of wispy waves so it's again like, I'm not quite as tight as I was, but I'm not quite as loose, but it was just too on the nose, it bugged me. Like, her hair does not have to project her personality quite to that degree.
Oh no, she's female, of course it does.
Exactly. My hairstyle must reflect how I am as a human.
Absolutely, and it also must match whatever your outfit is.
Absolutely.
The only emotions that you can show are through your choice of attire and look.
And also, there's no way that somebody who was as put together as her would have that suitcase at the beginning of the movie. Just no way. No, she would have had a normal suitcase.
Okay.
All right. But I am with you. I really enjoy this movie. I love the writing. I love the path that it takes us on, and I love the performances.
Yeah, and that's why I watch this over and over again is principally for the performances. Yeah. Because the way everybody interacts and they play off each other is just so much fun to watch. It is 3 top-tier actors really being able to sit in moments, and you can tell that like they're going through they've gone through enough of their acting exercise where they're actually, they are actively listening before responding and things. Like they're just top-tier actors doing exactly what they do very well.
Agree. Excellent.
Okay. I have nothing else for that.
Nope. So of those 5,
yeah,
which 2 would you carry forward to our finalists?
So this one's tricky for me because I'm going to say Inglorious Basterds only because on a first watch, I think it does everything that it was supposed to do and intended to do. Mm-hmm. Upon rewatches, no. This absolutely not. And then honestly, it's a toss-up to me between as far as the film for either A Serious Man or Up in the Air, and I'm going to go with Up in the Air because of the way it makes you care about something you don't care about at all.
Okay, I like that. I actually went with Inglorious Basterds as well, and I went with A Serious Man.
Okay.
So I think I could have coin flipped between Up in the Air. So I think if we take Up in the Air,
let's do all 5.
And then we take Hurt Locker and An Education from last time. We've got our 5 Best Picture nominees.
Yep.
So would you have picked a different one no. Would you have done 3 from one year, 2 from the other? Okay.
No.
You wanted to talk also about some that you don't think should have been nominated.
Correct.
Those are my 5 favorites, but it doesn't mean I don't think some of the others shouldn't have been.
And I'm 100% with you as far as those 5. Had it been a normal year, those 5 would be the ones that I would put forth as the nominees for that year. There are ones, however, that I think don't deserve it. I don't think Avatar deserved it. I understand why, because the groundbreaking technology in the 3D. I don't think Avatar deserved it at all. Blindside was a singular performance. Mm-hmm. Up, no.
I love the movie Up. I do not think that animated films should be nominated for Best Picture.
We've had this conversation.
Yeah, I
still do disagree with you, but that's okay.
I think that that actors have to be involved.
And then Prescious, strong performances, well crafted, accomplished what it wanted to do, and it would be the only one that I would kind of waver on to be included in Best Picture or not.
I thought you were going to go with District 9, actually. I'm surprised.
No, it's a very well done film, but it is still, at the end of the day, it still really is a sci-fi film. Even though it attempts to elevate a little beyond, it is still very much a linear story. Mm-hmm. And I don't think there are enough other strong performances, and it doesn't tick all of the necessary boxes to be a strong candidate for me.
All right, fair enough.
So, out of those 5, I'm going to ask you to go first. So out of, what we say, An Education, Hurt Locker, Inglorious Basterds, A Serious Man, and Up in the Air.
I think you're going to say the Academy was right and Hurt Locker should have won.
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I'm going to say, my gut is to say, yes, you agree that the Hurt Locker was there. My follow-up to that would be, no, you would say it would be An Education.
Neither of those are true.
Wow.
I was a hair's breadth away from the Hurt Locker, though, because I think it is so close to Inglorious Basterds for me. I really think Inglorious Basterds should have won because it just had all of the things of a good story, an amazing performance, tension, just all of the things in there that you really want from a good movie is also in Hurt Locker. So it just, for me, I think it was maybe I liked the characters better in Inglorious Bastard. And that could all be because of Christoph Waltz, and I recognize that. But for those two, it's really a coin flip.
That honestly surprises me, to be perfectly honest, and I would not have gone down that as a road. So for the first time, I mean, I've
You've been a little surprised a couple times. Like,
I have,
I zig when I should zag. Yeah.
not as much with this one.
Okay.
But all right,
Yep.
there you go. 10 films, 2 parts.
5 fantastic films and some other good ones.
Yep. We disagree
Yes.
on this one. It's been a while since that has happened.
It has, yeah.
Let us know your thoughts, comments, all that lovely kind of stuff. So until next time, see ya.
Bye.